Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. I'm Elizabeth, and today we are going to be talking about a serious topic, so I want to have a full disclaimer of possible trigger warnings that involve a lot of different topics. So, if this isn't for you and you can't handle that type of thing right now, then I would suggest that you don't watch this. But if you would like to listen to this, then you're more than welcome to. But today we are going to be talking about bipolar disorder, depression, and anger. I know we've touched on this topic before with Summer, but I wanted to talk about it more because it's a personal issue for me, and also I recently just got I haven't been able to fill my prescription for my bipolar disorder, and I also take it for schizophrenia, but that's a whole other topic. But I wanted to talk about the side effects and the things that you can go through without medication, or with medication. You can still, go through things. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. And I want to start with the fact that there are different types of bipolar disorder. I don't know what different types there are. I am not a professional. I wanted to start off by that as well. I'm just going by my own experiences and my own opinions. But my personal experiences with bipolar would have to do with having really high highs and really low lows, and you can call that manic and depressive episodes. So in my manic episodes, you can be super excited, you could be irritable, so people could make you really angry, and you feel unusually active or wired, and you also feel very powerful and important. So in my case, I tend to feel like I'm on top of the world, I got everything done, I'm doing perfect, and nothing can bring me down. But in the reality, that's not exactly what I'm feeling in the moment. That's just what my brain wants me to think I'm feeling. And I feel way too excited, way too shaky. I can tell when I'm feeling that way. I start shaking and start talking too much or breathing too fast. I do get very irritable when I'm on my medication and when I'm off of it, but I found that the medication does subside the irritability. So the medication I'm on, that I guess I feel a lot less angry than I usually do. And now that I'm off of it, which I've been off of it for about a month, unfortunately, my insurance just is nonsense, basically. They say I'm no longer on their insurance, even though I am, but they said I'm no longer on it, so I can't fill my prescription. But when I'm off of my medication, I've found that these last few weeks have been torture for both me and my significant other and my family members. I go back to being this hateful, angry person. I don't know how to I can control my emotions a little bit better because I've been on the medication for about a year, but I find that it's really hard for me to control my anger when I could get angry at the stupidest things, like if the dishes aren't done. I could get super angry, even if it's my fault or somebody else's fault. I just get absolutely irritated. Or if something's out of place. So if I usually put a box over here and then it's moved over here, I can get really angry over, stupid things. Now, those things aren't really that stupid to us. They're very serious and we should take them seriously, but we should not react the way that we should, or that we do, about the problems, I guess, we go through. And I don't know. I really think that I have a lot more manic episodes than I do depressive episodes, but if you did not know this, this is a fact that a lot of people don't know. You can have a manic depressive episode. You can have both excitability and feeling wired, but you can also feel really upset about it. And you're not upset about the situation itself. It's, for an example, I was talking on the phone with my counselor the other day, and I was absolutely wired. She could tell I was manic. She's like, you sound really manic right now. And I'm like, yeah, I think I am. I also feel really depressed about life right now. I'm just trying to, feel up about everything and try not to make it so depressive. But when you're forcing yourself to be happy, you're not truly happy. And that's a big thing that you need to keep in mind. You do not need to force yourself to be happy, especially when you're diagnosed with bipolar, because it's not going to help you in the long run. It's not going to help your progression and bettering yourself, and it's going to feel like hell, basically. Now, getting into the depressive episodes, it's kind of it's self-explanatory. You feel like you have low energy, you have a lot of sadness and despair. You feel like, you're not going to be happy anymore. You feel like you don't deserve happiness. Just the normal depressive feelings that people feel when they are depressed. But I feel like it's a little bit more with bipolar, because sometimes it happens when you're not even sad. Sometimes I will be so not calm. I want to say that. Numb is a better word. I feel really numb, and I don't know why. It just comes and goes. It's just a sporadic, oh, I'm feeling this way today. But I don't know. I don't like feeling numb, because feeling numb kind of just, it cuts off your emotions from the world, and you just don't feel like yourself. I felt like that the other day, and I had to explain to my significant other. I was like, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not trying to make you feel a certain way. I'm just not feeling myself today. And luckily he understands, but for the most part, it's going to be a big struggle, especially if there's somebody who doesn't understand quite well, and you can help them understand, which I did tell you guys in the last episode. We talked about all this. There's this video where if you look up bipolar disorder, I can't remember the exact video, but I'll have to link it somewhere if you guys would like to watch it, because if you show it to your friends, family members, or significant other as well, it will help them better understand why you act the way you do. Because with bipolar disorder and disassociation, and just in general, the whole glob of mental disorders that you have to go through, it explains why you feel the way you do. And if this kind of hits home for you, this is a good explanation of how you feel. So when you have problems trusting people, it's because, yes, somebody used your trust against you, and now you distrust people. But how can I explain this in a good way? Okay, so your brain is like a maze. This is how the lady explained it on YouTube. Your brain is like a maze, and you expect people to know how to navigate that maze, because in order to get to your heart, which is at this center, they have to know how to get around your triggers and how to navigate through this difficult maze. But in reality, you need to have a little bit less high expectations for that, because they don't understand the reasoning on behind why you feel that way, and they're not doing anything wrong. Trust me, like most of the time, the people that you're trying to not let in, unless you have a good feeling about whether they're going to be good or not, if they're a family member that really care about you, but you find yourself wondering, why am I not letting them in? It's because you see that expectation and expect them to just know when you're feeling a certain way, and that's not fair. In reality, it's really not fair for them, and it's not fair for yourself either. And I think working on that with your counselor or psychiatrist, whoever you talk to, therapist, I think that will benefit you in the long run. Now, like I said, I am not a professional, so all of this is just by me doing research and also my own personal experiences. So another thing is your family, your life, and your health can actually increase your risk of bipolar. So anyone can get it, and it runs in families normally because my mom does have bipolar. But a big stressful life change can trigger bipolar disorder. Losing someone you love is an example. Um, People with bipolar are also more likely than others to have certain health problems, such as obesity or heart disease. And that's really unfortunate because when you have to bring your health into it, it's really stressful because I struggle with weight myself. I know I'm not the biggest person in the world, but to me it feels like I am. And I compare myself like every other person does, but it can lead to obesity. So being bipolar can actually cause you to gain weight because whether you're overeating or the stress can actually get to you and make you gain weight. That's why a lot of people I tell that they should try and help themselves a little bit more than what they have been doing because it's like a test. You really need to study for the test. You need to know what you're doing and how you're feeling and why you're feeling the way you're feeling so that way you can understand how to fix it. Because if not, there's going to be a lot of long-term problems that you're not going to be able to deal with very well. And you're going to have a pile on, pile on, pile on a bunch of disorders and mental disorders, and you're not going to feel good about yourself. So the first step is very important, where you need to learn that you do need help and you need somebody to help you. It's okay to ask for help sometimes, especially when it has to do with your mental and physical health. And I don't know, I don't think some people don't take bipolar very seriously, and I wish they would because it is a very serious mental disorder and it harms a lot of people year by year, a lot more people than what you think. Bipolar is very common and anyone can get it. Now let's get into so getting into a harsher topic, I would prefer you not to listen to this if you have any suicidal thoughts or thoughts of harming yourself. So this is a trigger warning right now. I want to talk about this because it's a very serious topic that does need to be talked about. So you do need to hear it, but if you do not feel comfortable because you think it might trigger you, please do not watch this, okay? So both manic and depressive episodes can actually put you in a lot of danger. So when you're in that depressive episode, it can trigger your thoughts of suicide or harming yourself. But it's important to obviously seek immediately help for all those thoughts, whether it's a professional, a friend, or a family member, a teacher, anybody who can help. Times of mania can also be dangerous because you may behave recklessly and make dangerous choices. You might want to go skydiving and decide midway through that you don't want to live and cut the rope, That's a very serious thing that has actually happened where people will start doing dangerous things because they want that thrill. They're in that manic feeling and they'll start doing dangerous acts and then they start making those dangerous choices. And then you could suddenly, bam, turn into depressive episode and suddenly you're not alive anymore or you're very, very hurt. And it is very, very important that if you need to talk to somebody, you can contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can either call 988 or you can chat with them. They are available 24/7. I'm just telling you that because I definitely want you to know that there are people that really do care. Now, in my personal opinion, I haven't had the best times with calling the suicide prevention hotline or lifeline because the people that I've talked to kind of just I love that they listen because that's the best thing to do, but they try to give advice. And I truthfully, myself, I never want advice. I just want somebody to listen, to understand, and be there for me. But others might be different. If you would like advice throughout your situation, then by all means, please call them. But sometimes you just need a friend. Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody. Because in truth, if you're trying to talk to somebody about, hey, I'm really feeling down, I'm feeling about harming myself, and you're talking to a friend about it, you don't want to harm yourself in reality. You just want somebody to understand and be there for you. You really want that to kind of stick to them. You want that to be like a good relationship that you can have with them, that safe space that you can have to go to that person. I also want to talk about a lot of, okay, so I actually just looked it up. I want to kind of touch on this a little bit. So if you did skip this because you didn't want to talk or listen about the suicidal things, that it is all over. We are now talking about the different types of bipolar disorder. I know I'm all over the place. That's my ADHD. Do not mind me. I am trying my best. But apparently there are 4 different types of bipolar disorder. So apparently the first one is type 1. And it is you experience at least one manic episode lasting at least 1 week. So if you feel like you're super excited, super irritable, and feeling like you're taking risks that you shouldn't, and it lasts about a week, that's bipolar 1. If you have bipolar 2, it's hypomania. It's an episode lasting at least 4 days, and one major depressive episode lasting about 2 weeks. I personally have, don't mind my dog, I personally have, hold on. Lily. Come here, Lily. Anytime somebody comes walking by, she knows that they're there. But me personally, I've had it where I've had either a day, a week, a month of manic episodes, and then suddenly I'm depressed for a month or a week. It just kind of varies in me, which leads me to I'm gonna butcher this, cyclothymic disorder. This is a mild form of bipolar disorder in which a person experiences frequent mood changes. However, these changes are not severe enough for the classification of bipolar disorder. So you can have a frequent mood change every so often, but it's not severe enough, I guess. Which I think that if you have bipolar, you should, whether you're diagnosed with it or not, I think you should still get help for it, whether you were diagnosed, because I think that it's serious in all types, not just 1, 2, and 3. Now, other specified and unspecified bipolar and related disorders, it's any bipolar disorder that does not fit into the other categories. So anything that you can possibly think of. I have no idea what it may mean. I've never heard of it because I'm not a professional. I've never been in the field to know. But apparently, yeah, there are 4 different types of bipolar. It's kind of the same with schizophrenia. There are plenty of different types of schizophrenia. And so there's not just one classification, which is very misused for both. So when you say that you have bipolar, you could have a less severe one and a very severe one. The last thing that I want to talk about, I don't want to do a whole hour-long episode. I know I'm a little late to the podcast. My significant other ended up starting work today, and they worked at 10, and I just got back, and then some things happened with summer, so I wanted to hurry up and get on here and talk about some things, and I might do one later today, I might do one tomorrow, it just depends, but me and her are going to definitely get on here and talk about something or play a game together, but we will do something. And this actually leads me back to what I said. Bipolar is very common and it's not as rare as some people may think. And apparently it's 2.8% of adults in the United States have bipolar disorder. So the triggers for bipolar disorder, you can have a relative with it, which, my mom. misuse of substances such as alcohol and drugs, so that definitely has an effect on it, and periods of intense stress such as the death of a loved one or childhood emotional abuse, which I've had a lot of those. So overall, I think that bipolar is a very serious topic that isn't talked about enough, and sometimes it's glamorified by the internet, and it's cool, like quote cool, to be bipolar or schizophrenic or depressed or anxious. And I sometimes it makes me a little upset that people try to pretend to have these disorders or think that they have them but they aren't clinically diagnosed. Like, you can have a thought about it, but posting it all over the internet is just kind of, I don't know, it's doing more harm than good, I guess. But if you really feel like you have it, I would seek professional help instead of help from people on the internet that have no idea what they're talking about. So if you feel like you have bipolar, for an example, please do not come to me and tell me, hey, do you think I have it? Because I cannot guarantee that I know that you have it. Please go to a professional. I definitely think that we all, what am I trying to say here? I think that we all have some type of mental disorder, whether it's depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, ADHD, OCD, because we're a unique species, and we can think for ourselves, we act for ourselves, and we kind of have a little bit more leeway when it comes to that. And that just kind of leads me into the fact that you're not alone. Believe me. Obviously, bipolar is not that rare. And I don't want anybody to feel like there's nowhere else to go, because I have been down that road. I have been to a point where I thought nobody wanted to be around me. I thought nobody wanted to talk to me and be in my life. I had made some terrible decisions in my life that I thought I could never get out of. And I'm like, well, the best thing to do, you know? But in reality, I actually got out of that because of the significant other I'm still with today. We're going on 9 years, and 9 years ago, I wouldn't be alive without him. And I really appreciate the help that I get. So if you have one friend, just one friend, I can be that friend if you need to talk to somebody at least. But I always want to tell people that there's always somebody out there that will understand and will be there for you. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, to have somebody in your life that can be supportive and have that safe space, you know? We're rounding off to only about 23 minutes, but this was mainly about bipolar and anger. And I guess I didn't touch too much on anger. I said you could be a little bit irritable. You can accidentally yell at somebody about a dumb thing, or yell out of nothingness, you know? And it's sometimes, to us, it's, once you realize that you did it, you feel so bad. I mean, at least I do. You can feel guilty. You can feel like, you know, that depressive episode, you know, might happen again. But if you have a good support system around you, I think that you will be okay in the long run. And even if you don't have a good support system, just know that you need to learn over time. It's going to take a long time, about self-love, because once you have self-love, it's not like you don't need anybody in your life. It's more like you have more of a sense of self-respect, that if somebody comes into your life and ruins your life or harms your life in any way, then you know that you're going to be okay without them. I know that I can get through things alone sometimes, but you also need to know that sometimes you might need to ask for help. Like I said, sometimes you might need somebody. So if you have any other questions, concerns, or if you really would like to talk, I'm always available most of the time as long as I'm not busy. But I will be there for anybody who needs to talk or rant or ask advice, which I can give my best advice, but I would not take my own advice, only because I'm not a professional, like I said 10 times in this podcast. But I really want you to know that you are loved 100%. I don't care how many times you've heard it. You are loved. It does not matter. There's somebody out there. There is at least one person out there that cares about you. And even if I don't know you personally, I guarantee that I care about you because I'm not like, I'm not trying to be like a typical teenager nowadays, but I am an empath, so I may not completely understand the situation because I've never been through it, but I guarantee that I can understand how you feel about it because I've been through a lot of things in my life where in like a short amount of time that I can definitely understand and relate to somebody. And if all you need is just to rant and somebody to listen, then I can be there for you. I will end this podcast here. I really appreciate you guys coming. If there's anything else you would like me or Summer to talk about or play, please let us know, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.